would like to share with all of you my footprints in the sands of time, the journey of my life so far. This is a photograph of my mother and my father. They were born in British India, and my father's family is in Pakistan, what is now Pakistan, and my father's family owned a very large sporting goods factory that made cricket bats and balls and hockey sticks. And they supplied to Her Majesty the Queen. I think then when the British came to India, it was Queen Victoria. And my father went to medical school in a city that is now in Lahore, in Pakistan, called Lahore, and my mother went to, got married when she had just started her master's, MA. And marriages then, of course, were always arranged. India got its independence from the British in 1947, and my parents were married in 1948. And this is a photograph of my mother and my father on their wedding day. I was born in 1949, December the 5th. Had a wonderful childhood filled with love and magic and just a very, very cared and loving environment. That's me, and the little one is me. I'm the eldest in my family. I have a younger sister who's a year and a half younger to me, and I have a younger brother who is a year and a half younger to her. My sister lives in Delhi and my brother is in Paris. This is just childhood photographs. After my father being in the army, we would be transferred all over India every 3 years or so. And all our schooling was done in the British schools, which were in the hills, usually a convent, and all the nuns were there. And most of the schools in India were not co-educational. They were all girls and all boys schools. There was no question of going out or dating or even going out to girls' homes and having slumber parties was not allowed or accepted. And this was my first year in college. All the good schools were up in the hills, in the foothills of the Himalayan mountains. And the schools went from March till the beginning of December, because in the hills it would snow a lot and it would not be possible. There was no heating, central heating or anything, and it would be too cold in the snow. So we would all go home for 3 months. This is me in the center and some of my friends in college. And we would have a lot of fun on the weekends. School would be also till on Saturday as well. And the college was really small, not a whole lot of girls. There were only 89 girls when I was in college, all girls college. And it was so, you knew everyone so well that even when you when you were, say, in the bathroom, the way a girl walked in, you could tell who has come in or who has gone out. Since it was an all-girls school and college, all the time, every time we had a play or any performance, the girls had to be dressed up as boys because there were no boys to play the parts of the men. So that's me and me with some of the friends for the school and college concerts. This is also, I was always involved in sharing and showing our culture. This was an episode that we did called The Brides of India. India has 29 states and 7 territories, and each state is a totally different, like a different country. The language, the dress, the food, everything is different. So this is bride from Rajasthan. This was when I had just finished my college, and in a beautiful city in India called Lucknow, which is referred to very often as the Rome of India. It is a beautiful, romantic, lovely city. And in India, this is in 1970, beginning of 1970. And there was a fashion show, and they were had just started introducing Indian wines, and there was a company called Golconda Wines, and in that fashion show I was selected as the queen. But once you have the title, then you are expected to travel. And my mother said that there was no way I was going to be traveling promoting wines. So the title was given to the first runner-up, and I became the runner-up. I'm in that lighter colored sari. In India, the marriages are arranged. In the olden days, my grandparents' time, great-grandparents' time, when anyone was to be married, the parents would make the arrangement, and it would be usually, almost always, amongst friends and people who you knew, friends' children, friends' sons, friends' daughters, and people would introduce and say, okay, let's get our children married when they are old enough or have a job or whatever. And things have changed a lot. Our marriage, my husband's and mine, was kind of semi-arranged in the sense that Gulshan's family's proposal came to my mom and dad for my hand. And my photograph was sent to Gulshan. My husband was in America since '64. He had come to America to do his training in residency and training after finishing medical school in India. And this was in 1970 that Gulshan's brother, who I knew really well, and his sister-in-law, sent my photograph to Gulshan to take a look, and his family sent my parents this photograph of his. And I turned 21 on the 5th of December in 1970, and Gulshan flew down from Salt Lake City, Utah, and we met 2 days later on the 7th of December. And usually the girl and the boy meet after the parents have okayed the families. So it is not just the boy and the girl who are getting married, it is a getting together of families, and you are introduced to each other only once the parents have agreed to the match. And it's not like, oh, you're dating or going out for, the boy's family usually comes to the girl's home for tea, and after about having tea, and the girl's parents usually say, oh, why don't you take him out and show him the roses in the garden or something like that. And you are together for maybe half an hour or so, and then the boy's family goes home and the girl's family. And usually in India, even those days, if the boy said yes, the girl had no reason to say no, because the parents had approved and the boy said yes, that is it. But my parents were very nice and considerate. They always took my opinion, and Gulshan's family and we liked each other a lot. So we got engaged 10 days after meeting on the 17th of December, and we got married on the 27th of December. And I left India on the 3rd of January and spent 3 days in Rome and 4 days in Paris and 1 night in New York City, and then landed in Salt Lake. And from the time I got engaged till I landed in Salt Lake, I was flying so high, it seemed like I didn't even need a plane. It was magical. and lovely. And only on landing in Salt Lake in the middle of winter did I realize that I am in a strange country with someone I don't know that well. I have no friends, no family, nobody there. So it was hard in the beginning. When I got married in India, when you have a daughter, the parents start collecting jewelry and saris almost from the time of birth, because the weddings, you don't know who you may get married to, and you don't have maybe enough time to plan a wedding and all, and also get the clothes and the jewelry and the trousseau ready. So when I got married, I told my parents that I'm going to America and I'm not going to take all these clothes, I want to wear dresses. And it was the first wedding in my family, and my mother was very heartbroken. So I brought all my clothes, and every day, and every time, that's all I had to wear. This is a typical traditional thousands of years old Indian wedding ceremony. So this is when we are in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I did not know anyone there, and just as we have such wrong ideas about different countries and different people, because our knowledge is usually by media, from the media, and usually media loves to sensationalize everything. There's no, sometimes there's truth and sometimes there's a lot of exaggeration. And just as in America in the 60s and 70s, people thought that everyone in India is poor and starving and dying, people in India thought America is like Las Vegas and cowboys, and they had told me, be sure you don't, go out alone. And I had never in my life stepped out of my home growing up alone. It wasn't, that we had that much wealth or anything, but my father's position as the commandant of the military hospital. So it had a lot of help and servants, and it was a very lovely life, and you never went out unchaperoned. I had never in my life gone out unchaperoned. Even when Gulshan and I were engaged and we had to go out to get some clothes and jewelry from my husband's side, my aunt told Gulshan that I had to be home before sunset, and in winter the sun sets at 4:30, and after that. So it's not that, you get to know anyone very well or anything, but it's very lovely. So I had never been out, and I was told, be careful, you don't get kidnapped or shot or anything. So when I was in the apartment, I would bolt the door and chain it and not open it, not go out, and I would cry and cry and cry. And in the morning when Gulshan would be gone, I would wonder what to do. And he lived at that time, single, one-bedroom apartment. All that was there was books and a television. And then Gulshan told me, oh, you should go out. And I would be restless and worried that I may get lost. And this couple here, Dorothy and Julius, they were the landlords of the apartment we lived in. And they had moved there from London 3 years ago. One afternoon around 4 o'clock in Salt Lake, my doorbell rang, and I didn't know anybody, so I didn't know who was there. And I looked through the magic eye, and there was a man with a huge arrangement of flowers. And he kept ringing, and I would not open the door because I was scared. And so he went away, and he called, and I got a call. And when I answered the phone, it was Dorothy, and she said, we are the landlords of this complex, and there's somebody at the door, so please open, here's something for you. So I told her, thank you so much, but I'm in the shower, I can't open the door. you can have him leave it there. And I was not. I was watching from the magic eye what's going on. And after he left it there, I waited and I pulled it in. And Dorothy and Julius, Dorothy was 51 and her husband was 50 and I was 21. And they had no children. They took me under their wing, and they had come to Salt Lake City only 3 years ago, so they knew how I felt, and the flowers were from them, welcoming me and telling them how they understood how I must be feeling. And so Dorothy and I took driving lessons together, we took swimming lessons together, we took sewing lessons together. In fact, that dress over there in that photograph by the car, I made myself. Yeah. And we would watch Masterpiece Theatre and we would go for swimming and everything, and it was a lovely, lovely experience. And then we moved, after my husband did his training in cardiac surgery, we went to North Carolina, and he was on the faculty at Duke University, and our son was born in 1972, and 5 years later, our daughter was born. Our son, Dave, and our daughter, Sonia. After my father retired, they bought a little cottage, a small little cottage in a city on the foothills of the Himalayan mountains. And that city is called Nainital. Naini means lake. Naini means, beautiful eyes, and Tal is lake. And during those days, long ago, you were not even allowed to drive in the city. You would reach the city, this little city town of Nainital, you had to park your car and you either walked or you went by horseback or you took a boat across, or there was something known as a dandi, like a recliner that men would carry for those who could not walk or didn't want to sit on a horse and be taken wherever you wanted to go. Beautiful town, idyllic little town. And you could see during the monsoons, the mist would roll in and then just roll out. It was magical. A lot of sailing and boating. Every day the servant would go down and get fresh fruit and fresh vegetables that were just grown over there. There was nothing known as leftovers. Firstly, because there was not much refrigeration, long time ago. And also, there are so many servants that there is never food left over. If there's anything, then the help will eat that. And everything was always fresh. The servant would go in the morning to the market to get the fresh vegetables and fruit, and flower gardens, flower markets, everything very right there, very fresh. My mom and dad in the lake. When our children were in school, we used to go every summer and spend the summers in India, because it was lovely. They were out of school. I wanted them to keep in touch with their heritage and know the culture a little bit. That's me and my dad. My mother and me. In 1990, in Desert Storm, my husband was activated for duty. He was a reservist and he had to go serve for 4 months. Till then, till 1990, I had never really done anything as paying bills or managing any money or taking charge of anything. But when he had to go away, I had no choice, and I learned. And for 4-5 months, I took great care, and I knew and I learned, and I thought how wonderful I should be independent and know what to do. And then he came back, and I handed everything back to him. So now maybe I need Joanna even more. But yes, that was lovely to be serving the country. And this is in 1995 on our 25th wedding anniversary. And it was a lovely get-together. And in India, when you get married, there is nothing like a marriage certificate. There is no marriage certificate. Your guests at the wedding are your witness. So we've never needed one and anything. But our son grew up and is an attorney. And in 2006, he told me that, Mom, you need to have a wedding certificate, a marriage certificate. So I said, no, we don't need one. And so he said, no, you live in America and you need to prove that you are married. So he got whatever permission, and he's the one who married Gulshan and me again, officially according to the American laws. And that was in 2006 on our wedding anniversary on the 27th of December. And it was so lovely because our granddaughter is watching. I signed the paper, and our daughter-in-law and daughter were the witness to our marriage certificate. This is our son and daughter when they were younger. That's our son Dave. He's an attorney. He's in town, and his bride Olivia. She's Hispanic, and they got married in 2000. And these are their two children, Sophia and Bodhi, 12 and 9 right now. This is our daughter and her husband. They live in Palo Alto in California. Sonia had a traditional Hindu wedding in Tucson, a 4-day-long wedding, April 2004, April 2004. In India, henna is a very important part of the wedding ceremony for several reasons. Firstly, it is like decorative and pretty, but other than that, it serves a purpose. And Indian customs and the weddings are thousands and thousands year old traditions. And especially for the days when the marriages were that the bride and groom saw each other on the wedding night, it was a means of getting comfortable with each other, because when they did the henna, on the bride's hand, they would hide the name of the groom in the henna design. And on the wedding night, when you lifted the veil and saw each other, you had to kind of hold the hand and look for your name. The husband had to look for the name before anything happened. And they said that the darker the henna, the more you would be loved. So it is very, 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 very important part of the Indian wedding ceremony. And they play lots of other games too, like they'll have like a big, is it on? They'll have like a big bowl of water with a little bit of milk to make it cloudy, and they will put a ring or some gold coins in it, and the husband and the wife after the wedding, so that they get used to being touched or anything, because it's not like how the weddings are now. Though in India nowadays it's almost the same way. Everyone's finding their own partner. But you would look in that milky, cloudy water, and they would say whoever got the ring first would rule the house, or whoever collected the most coins. And in that milky water, you would try not to find it too fast, so your hands would touch or anything. So it was, simple pleasures. These are our daughter's 3 darling little girls. And ever since I came to America in 1971, like I told you, I told my mother, no, I'm not taking these clothes, I will be wearing American clothes. But I did bring them, which is a very good thing, because my husband, in those days, there were no cell phones or pagers in 1970, 71. And you had to stay in the hospital the whole night and come home the next night. And I only had my Indian clothes to wear. And I think when I would go down the street, people would ask me, where are you from? Are you a gypsy? Are you a fortune teller? Are you a belly dancer? You are vegetarian? You poor thing? How do you get your protein? Do you have snakes? So at that, and then also, then I was 21, had a great figure, low down tight saris. And in India, if your belly button shows, nobody is bothered. It's part of the culture. But if you show your legs, it's a big deal. So they would say that you're so daring, your belly button's showing, are you a belly dancer? No. So that is when I started taking, maybe March, April of 1971, taking my saris, which is 6 yards of fabric that's just draped around, so it never gets tight or anything, only the blouse is on top me. And I would take the slides and my saris and go to the schools, to the Rotary Club, to anyone, churches, anybody who was wanting to know about India, teachers who wanted to learn more about India, because when you talk to somebody from a country, you are able to get the true picture. And media loves to sensationalize. There is a lot of poverty in India, but we mustn't forget that India is over 10,000 years old. Some historians and anthropologists and archaeologists have said that. And India has been invaded by almost every country a lot of countries in the world. And the Persians, the Mughals, the Spanish, Portuguese, Dutch, British, French, a lot of them. So I have always wanted to give back and share and let people know that there is a lot of truth about what is in India, but it is surviving and carrying on and sharing my culture. This is in North Carolina. I prepared an Indian meal for a magazine. This is at another international fair at the YWCA. And this is again another fair. I always wanted to help and share and educate. I love Tucson. We've been here going on 27 years. I don't know if any of you or most of you have been to a theater downtown called the Fox Theater. I love that theater, yes. And for several reasons, because when you travel the world and you see civilizations that are thousands and thousands of years old, and they have such historical sites that are preserved, and we travel to go visit and see. And America is such a young country. We do not have a lot, and yet we are a little bit lax at preserving our history and our heritage and our culture. And so when we came here, I've always shared, so when we came to Tucson and I found out about the Fox Theater, I told my husband, I'd love to show Indian movies there. Bollywood, India makes the most movies in the world. Most are not very good, but the ones that are good are superb. So we helped revitalize and renovate the Fox Theater. And in 2006, when it first opened, we did an event there called Bollywood at the Fox. And I wanted to bring my friends down, share with them the India I knew. We blocked the street, we have a huge street party, and people come and eat and party in the street, and then go inside the theater for a movie. And it is lovely. I've been doing that for a long time. And this is in the street. I mean, the hundreds and hundreds of people come. Gabby Giffords and Mark Kelly at the Fox event, Bollywood at the Fox. I do a lot of events and sharing with different organizations. This is the Science of Healing. A lady by the name of Dr. Esther Sternberg, who is an amazing doctor, and she did a lot of research and found out about the power of the mind to heal the body. And we had an event with her and Dr. Weil at the parks. That is my husband Gulshan, Andy Weil, me, and Dr. Sternberg. This was another event I put on at the Fox Theatre called Mystic India. This is an event that my husband and I do at the Children's Museum. It's free for all the children in Tucson, and anyone who comes there with their parents and grandparents, totally free. And last year we had the support of the Tucson Unified Magnet Schools, and it's a very wonderful event. My husband dresses up. He does heart surgery normally, but he uses his hands to make balloon animals for children. That's me helping put his clown shoes on. And anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 people attend this event. Children mostly, and there's free food, there's, we have henna tattoos, we write their names in Hindi, there are clowns, there's admission to the museum. It's really a very lovely event. That's me with 4 of our grandchildren at the Children's Museum. And FAME stands for Family Arts and Music Experience. This is the Gute event where the Gute Foundation raises money for research for sudden cardiac death, and they honored us with the Philanthropist of the Year a few years ago. And this is when Dr. Weil had written a book, True Foods, on eating healthy, and we had a book signing for the Center of Integrated Medicine. This is me with Deepak Chopra when there was an event, a conference on consciousness at the Ventana. I've been involved with the American Heart Association a few years ago. I think 2012, they honored me by naming me as the sweetheart of the American heart. And I had the greatest honor from the few little awards or recognitions that I have received. What was most meaningful to me was when Tunadita honored me by naming me as one of their remarkable moms, because all my life, that is what I was trained or told, or the role I played as a wife and mother, and that has meant the most to me. So I loved getting that recognition as being a good mom. And last year, my husband and I chaired the American Heart Ball, and it was a lovely, lovely event. I didn't do Bollywood last year because the Heart Ball had touches of India. This is our daughter and me, and then my husband and me at the event. And we were honored by the National Philanthropy Association as the Philanthropist of the Year last year in November. So they wanted to interview us for this award, and they were doing an article at the Tucson Lifestyle, for the Tucson Lifestyle, and they interviewed us, and then the photographer was there, and for about an hour or so he was there, and he was taking a lot of photographs, and you know, the traditional type, you're sitting, you're standing, you're, you know, kind of serious, trying to laugh or smile. And then after he was done, I asked him, I said, why don't you take just some shots for Gulshan and me? So we were sitting and just joking, fooling around, and I sat down. We have a little, you know, fainting couch type of a thing there. So I said, Gulshan, I'll sit here, and then I feel like I'm Cleopatra and you're Mark Antony. And the minute I said that, he must have clicked, and they do not let you select, or they don't let you say what is written, you know, they judge and they do. And when I saw it first, I was a bit taken aback that, oh my gosh, this was not the profiles and the photographs they were taking. And so it was kind of fun to have that done, because I think it captured the moment, because my husband is tickled by what I said. So. And this was at the event, the luncheon at La Paloma for the Philanthropy Award. This is my mom and dad on my dad's 90th birthday. And this is my mom. My mother passed away 4 years ago in November 22nd. And in India, when someone dies, we do not bury. The Hindus do not bury. We cremate the body, and then the ashes are put in an earthen urn and then immersed in the sacred Ganges. And that is what my brother and sister-in-law, we are all there, but the rites are performed by the son. That's why in India, everyone craves a son. And also that daughters are so expensive. My son, daughter and son-in-law have 3 daughters, and my son-in-law is always telling me, Mom, do you think by the time your granddaughters grow up, the custom of huge Indian weddings will go away? I said, no, keep dreaming. And this is something so special to me, the rainbows, because in 2000, November 22nd, 2000, my 21-year-old niece died of malaria, falciparum malaria in Bombay. And when her older sister, and we were all there, she refused to go to the funeral. And she said, I don't believe she's dead. I'm not going. And my husband said that she must go, otherwise she will not have closure. And we were in Bombay, sitting on, by the water. And as she walked in, and in India when someone dies, we wear white. And as she walked in, her whole shirt and her slacks were covered in rainbows. And I told her that this is your sister saying, come dance with me, come for the cremation. And she did go. And every time I see a rainbow, I'm reminded of her. I talk to her a lot, but when I see a rainbow, I'm especially reminded that it's like I'm here. So 10 years later, 2014, the same day, November 22nd, 2010, my mother passed away. And when we came back after the cremation, my parents' living room was covered in rainbows. And every time I see that, is like, it's very special to me. I love rainbows. This is my dad and me on his 95th birthday. My dad is going to be 99 on the 5th of March. Yeah. And look how excited he is with his candles and stuff, sparklers. I talk to my father every single night. I never go to bed without saying, Papa, I love you. I will call you in the morning. Because I'm so far away, and it just makes me feel connected, and I never want to wake up and know that something happened and he did not hear my voice. And he talks to me every night. And India, I'm sure everyone has traveled and they know the time differences all over the world. So when it is 9 or 9:30 at night here, it is 10 or 10:30 in the morning, the next morning in Delhi. And it is such a perfect time because he's just had his breakfast and he's had his bath and he's talking to me. And this is our family, son, daughter. And this is my mom and dad with our daughter in the red in the corner and her husband, and my son behind my dad in the beige shirt and his wife in the red sweater, and the others are all the cousins and their spouses. And so it is wonderful. I tell my son and daughter that we are so blessed, they are so blessed, that we have the opportunity to be such wonderful human beings and citizens, because we can take the best from India and we can take the best from America, the land of our birth and the land we call home now. And I love, love, love being here. That is one reason that I love to give back. And we give back in Tucson because I love being here. Hello? Okay. I love giving back, and I love Tucson, and to give back the way I do is the only way I know. And by sharing my culture, by bringing people closer together, and to feel, when I say I'm a Tucsonan, I have paid my dues, I have worked, I have given back, and I feel like I have the right to say that I call Tucson home. I love, love, love everything about Tucson. And I love that what my parents taught me is what gave me the strength to be and accomplish what I have. And over the years, I have realized that it is love that builds self-confidence, and it is love that makes you do things you may never have dreamed possible that you could do. You need just one person to believe in you and say you are special, and everything seems to work. And so many times I tell my husband that I admire the way my mother and father raised me, because when I came here, I did not know a soul. I was 21 years old. And it was that faith and the confidence that I can do it. Every morning I would be crying, and Gulshan, every alternate night when he would come home, I would be dressed up like I'm going to the angel ball. I had 65 new saris, I had tons of jewelry, and so it was special. And the lessons that my parents taught me, that always be kind, be considerate, be thoughtful and sensitive to the feelings of others. You don't know what they are going through. And sometimes people are hard or rough because they are hurting. And if you ignore that, then it's not nice. Be kind to people. And also always be the best you can be. Give 100% to whatever you do. And also be always true to your word. Be a person of your word. You do not need a stamped paper to prove anything or have your rights. If you had said yes and shaken your hand, that is promise enough. So I have worked hard to pass on those values to my children, to people I come in contact with, to my grandchildren, and I am honored to have you here listening to me tonight and giving me so much honor and respect by thinking the words I have to say are worthy of your time.